No, I love it. Yeah.
Why?
I just love it. Yeah, it's dope. I mean, I love the fact that everybody want the Lakers to win. That's how it's supposed to be. They don't want the Timberwolves to win. I get it.
And is never short on confidence. Now he has an even bigger chip on his shoulder heading into this series with the Lakers. LA is favored to win, but the two teams split their season series, and this is for sure going to be one of the more competitive ones. What would be let's try that one more time, Brian. What would be considered a success for the Lakers this postseason?
If they can show that their new grouping of perimeter stars, which is obviously Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, can fit together beautifully and be a competitive group, and they can share each other's load and also show that they can fit together. Because I don't necessarily, my expectation for the Lakers is that they will be at their best next year when they can make some transactions in the offseason, build up their size. In all honesty, if you look at the history of basketball, a team with this, weakness and depth issue inside has never really won at a high level. That's not to say that they can't, but they're fighting against reality of the sport right now. But if Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves can be so great together, they push the teams to the limit and maybe even get to the conference finals, then their future looks even brighter. And that's what I really think their realistic opportunity is. Okay. I know that there's a lot of people who are unrealistic, but I will say this. 2 years ago, they were in the play-in, and I would have been sitting here on this day saying, well, if they get to the playoffs, they're doing well. They made it to the conference finals. So underestimating LeBron has never been a good way to go forward in the playoffs.
I mean, we got to give credit where credit due. JJ was able to quiet the noise. They were able to get home court, so they have had some success this year. I don't know if anybody really was able to anticipate that. We didn't know what that was going to be. That was a huge question mark. So we have to give them that success, but I agree with you. They're going to struggle when it comes to points in the paint and going against those bigs. If you look at all the upper echelon teams, OKC has 2 bigs. Houston has 2 bigs. Denver has jokers. So if they ever have to see one of those teams along the line, they just can't compete with that.
Oh, and they knew that that was their deficiency when they went out and tried to get Mark Williams, and obviously that trade didn't come to fruition. We know what Luka Doncic prefers. They know that that's sort of the piece that they need. We'll see how far they can go with this roster. And by the way, coming out of the Anthony Edwards sound to then talk more Lakers is probably exactly what Ant-Man is talking about. Don't worry, we're going to get to Minnesota just coming up in our show. But first, the battle of the Balkan bigs. Does Ivica Zubac and co have any shot at slowing down Nikola Jokic? Our resident big man, Udonis Haslem, says he has a plan for the Clippers here. Plus,
star Damian Lillard has been cleared for full basketball activity as his deep vein thrombosis in his right calf has cleared. He is no longer on blood-thinning medication, the team announced moments ago. Lillard, who has already been ruled out for Game 1 of the Bucks' first-round series against the Pacers on Saturday, will begin to increase his on-court basketball activity in preparation for a date to return to play. Now, last postseason, Lillard carried the scoring load for the Bucks, averaging over 31 points per game in the first round against the Pacers. This was with Giannis Antetokounmpo out as well, of course. Lillard was one of 4 players to average 30 points. We know what Dame Time is all about. Well, we now welcome in Brian Windhorst to give us a little bit more perspective. And Wendy, what more can you tell us about Damian Lillard as he continues to try to work his way back?
This is a game-changing development. The team had announced earlier this week that he was cleared to go to his next stage of recovery, and they had been optimistic throughout the time that his season was not over, because typically when you have a blood clot, you're put on the shelf for months. This is the first time we've ever seen this type of recovery. They worked with specialists at the Mayo Clinic to get this. This is obviously something they studied very closely, but from what I am told, he has returned to practice. And so now he has been out for weeks. You're not just going to immediately throw him back in there. You're going to have to build him up, but he's been practicing the last couple of days. He will ramp up, and it seems, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but it seems like Damian Lillard is going to return within this series against the Indiana Pacers. And look, the Pacers are a formidable team, but getting Dame Lillard back into this really rebalances the way you can look at the way this series might play out.
Yeah, you're surprised. So was I. When I saw this breaking news come across, I thought, my goodness, this is very quick. Another injury, that would be Ja Morant. He tweaked his right ankle in the third quarter Tuesday against Golden State. He finished the game, but really didn't quite look himself. And so what are you hearing about Morant's availability for tomorrow?
So he's getting reevaluated today. Obviously, the team flew back from the West Coast yesterday. He is going to do everything he possibly can to play in this game. This is obviously an elimination game. This is when you hear, if this was a regular season game, he would not play, but if it was a playoff game, he would, and that is where we are headed. The Grizzlies have not put out their formal injury report yet, but in talking to sources close to Morant, he's going to play in this game. Now, his availability and how much he's able to impact the game are two different things. Obviously, after this injury, he was not as impactful down the stretch of the game a couple of days ago. But you're going to see number 12 out there tomorrow night. How aggressive he's able to be, that's what we're all going to be paying attention to.
Right. Because that calf just was not feeling right. And then finally, they found it, they detected it, and then now he's recovered.
I mean, just getting back into game shape, that's something you can't simulate. You can't run. You can't get on the bike. You have to get in game basketball shape. And unfortunately, they're playing in one of the fastest teams in the NBA. So that's going to be an issue. But I fully expect Dame to hit the ground running and not miss a beat when it comes to offense. I mean, I think Dame time is just going to be Dame time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we can overlook, when we talk about blood clots, UD, you know this all too well, that really the first concern is for the person and just for the health of Damian Lillard. So the fact that he's able to get back to the basketball court at all, let alone this quickly, is truly unprecedented. And we are certainly looking forward to seeing him out there. But I think all of us would have said the status of Damian Lillard and what that means for the Milwaukee Bucks, one of the biggest questions heading into the playoffs. Now that we have some answers on that front, what is the biggest question remaining?
We don't ever seem to talk about the Celtics, and that's a compliment to them because the Celtics have handled their business so well as champions. The big question to me in this whole postseason is anybody going to be good enough to beat the Celtics 4 out of 7? Not when they have a bad shooting night, not when they may lose focus in the fourth quarter, which they're sometimes prone to do because they get ahead. Can you beat them 4 out of 7 times? I just want to point out, last year in the playoffs, they went 16-3. At one point, they won 10 straight games. And while I do believe a number of teams have made strides on them, they have not weakened at all. If anything, they have strengthened, especially with their starting 5. So to me, that's a huge question. The other thing is, who might be there to meet them if they can get through the East? Who can win this Western Conference? I can make a case for 5 or 6 or 7 different combinations.
I would say 6, yeah.
Well, I can't even say who's going to get to the conference finals. Like, I favor the Thunder, but I can make a case for we could have a whole bunch of different combinations in the Western Conference finals. The unknown in the West is what makes this next few weeks going to be very exciting.
I mean, Cleveland has dominated the East all year, so we're not taking nothing away from them. They have a hell of a year, but I truly think that the combination that they're going to have to go with is Hunter at the 4. I really don't like the Mobley switching on to Jason Tatum. I don't like the Mobley. I know he's a great defender, but he just has trouble guarding Jason Tatum. I mean, he gets to his pull-up right here over a 7-foot guy. Now he ISOs him, steps back once again over a 7-foot guy. So he's getting all his shots, and this takes nothing away from Mobley. Jason Tatum is one of the greatest in the game, but I truly think this is not going to be a 2-big series. If they see the Boston Celtics, it's going to be a 1-big series, and Hunter is going to have to play a huge part.
There's sort of been these titans, right, at the top of each conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder and then the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. But, Brian, you've said it repeatedly. It seems like 2 through 7 in particular in the Western Conference is separated by a matter of degrees, and it depends on the day, Shams. How are teams preparing for this jockeying within this crowded middle of the West?
I'll give you an example. Someone that I know around the Timberwolves was like, why are we looked at as such underdog to the Lakers? We have 1 less loss than them.
Right.
And you look at the standings and how jumbled up these are. Oklahoma City, Houston, Los Angeles, the Lakers, the Clippers even, Denver, Minnesota, Golden State. I think, what's that, 7 teams? I think all 7 of those teams can give themselves, I mean, maybe Houston, right? This is their first foray into this. They have a younger team. But all those other teams are going into this playoffs like, we want to make it to the finals.
Right.
And that mentality, you talk about parity in the NBA. I mean, that's pretty remarkable that you can have 7 teams make a case that we can get to the finals.
People around the Timberwolves are saying that, but we know that Anthony Edwards is never just afraid of saying that thing out loud. He did just that. Take a listen.
Đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu để gửi tặng đến các bạn những phút giây thư giãn. Chào mừng các bạn. Rất hân hạnh các bạn đã đến với video của mình. Và để làm được video của mình, video tô màu của mình thì mình sẽ chuẩn bị những dụng cụ như sau. Đây là bút sáp màu và đây là điện thoại để mình quay lại quá trình mình tô màu. Đây là những sản phẩm được in sẵn. Đấy. Đây là những con vật này. Đấy. Đây là những con vật. Đây là những đồ vật. Đấy. Vân vân. Bây giờ mời các bạn cùng theo dõi quá trình mình tô màu. Các bạn xem video của mình thấy hay thì hãy ấn like và đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ mình nhé. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều.
Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục tô màu nhé bạn.